Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the PlayStation Theater, and today we are here with Matt of Hatebreed. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for talking to me. This is great.
Yeah.
Good to meet you. Good to see you.
Yeah. Todd from in my dad's band and of Alto Music. We've talked about Hatebreed extensively in the past. So
Wappingers Falls, New York. Represent.
Definitely. Oh, you reside up there right now?
Yeah, well, I was born in Wappingers. My parents are there. I lived in Poughkeepsie for 8 years. I lived in Beacon for 8 years. So I've kind of been all over. Now I'm back in Wappingers as of 2 months ago. So
wow.
Yeah, me and my lady just got a house there.
Yeah. Congratulations. You're a real upstate New Yorker. You hear like New Yorkers here. I lived in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. You're like
Right.
You lived in every New York spot outside of New York City.
Yeah, all the boroughs of Dutchess County.
That's awesome. But it's so great to have you here. You're pretty much, now that it's been 3 years since the release of the Concrete Confessional, do you kind of have like a conclusion on this record cycle?
Well, it's definitely winding down. Yeah, because it has been a couple years. We've talked about fumbling around with some new stuff. Well, we talked about at the end of last year. We're talking about doing it at the end of this year. We'll see if it happens. I mean, when good tours pop up or good offers or just other things that happen to keep you busy, you go with it if it's good enough. So, but yeah, it's wrapping up, man. We've toured a lot on this record. We've been to different parts of the world a lot. So it's time to start hashing out some new ideas and start talking about a new product.
Yeah. Definitely. And I mean, you've toured all over the world, across seas, and even on the sea last year.
Yeah. We did the cruise around New York here. That was cool. A bunch of bands have done it. Is it a booze cruise? Would you consider that a booze cruise? What is that?
The way I was seeing everybody walk off that boat, yeah, I would call it a booze cruise. It wasn't their sea legs, I could tell you that much.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, we spend a lot of time in Europe. Especially in the summertime. They have all the festivals over there. And, for the past 10 or 15 years, we spend a good portion of the summer over there doing them.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what I've always found interesting about Hatebreed is I feel like with the entire Hatebreed catalog, you really have a signature sound. People who loved Satisfaction as the Death of Desire could love Rise of Brutality, Perseverance, and this new record. So is it fair to say that Hatebreed kind of has like a formula or a template, especially now in the songwriting process?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think record to record, the earlier you go, I think the more hardcore you would find the material. But as we've progressed through the years, I think we've injected more and more metal into it. We're fans of both genres. I think that's just what we listen to and what we like to play. So naturally, that's the type of stuff we're going to write. What was the second part of the question again?
If you have like a formula that you have, or is there any experimentation in the songwriting process?
We've experimented. I think on our self-titled, we experimented a little bit. That's where we started really experimenting with not so much singing, but like maybe holding a note in the vocal lines and adding some more guitar solos, a little bit more shred work instead of just, which is the typical Hatebreed formula. Simple song structure, short song structure, fast part, breakdown, mid-tempo, like there's always those elements within the music. And that is the identity, I think that is the formula. That's what we naturally have always done. We've always been fans of music, that comes right out the box and just punches you in the face. And I think the longer the song, how people are nowadays anyway, the longer the song, people kind of get lost and the attention dwindles and stuff. So we're short and to the point, man. We get it done and we just punch you in the face and then we're gone. That's if there's a formula, that would be it. It's just short, concise, short and sweet.
Yeah, exactly. My friend went to Dream Theater last week and he says, I was 40 minutes late and I made it before the first chorus. So.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, and there's a place for that stuff too. I mean, I like bands like that too. Yeah. Really showing a lot of the musicianship and everything like that. I mean, they're shredders, man. You like to listen to that stuff too. But for Hatebreed, that just doesn't fit. It doesn't work. Yeah. We like to flex a little bit, and we've tried some different things on every album that you typically didn't hear on the last before it. But we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, and we're not trying to piss our fans off. I say it all the time, our fans are very loyal to us, and they understand us, and they understand what we bring, and for that, we're loyal to them. And, when we're writing a new record, we have what we want to play in mind as well as what our fans have come to know and love.
Yeah, Absolutely. Now, despite having a signature sound, I think Hatebreed has toured with a variety of different bands. You're touring right now with Obituary and, death metal legend, but you've toured with Five Finger Death Punch, you've toured with Lamb of God, you've toured with
Negative.
all that remains.
Yeah, All That Remains, Typo Negative, Slayer.
Like,
you know.
Do you notice like a different reaction or a different type of crowd depending on like the tours that you're on?
Well, the first thing is that it's really great to see when you're on a tour like that with a really diverse lineup and maybe bands that are outside the box of what we are. Our fans still come out, which is good. They're not necessarily scared of sometimes a higher ticket price or something. Like they just want to be at the show. It's an event for them. My personal opinion is I like variety in a bill. We've done the tours where you're playing, the 5 bands are exactly the same style and they all sound the same and you're just seeing the same band one after the other. I like touring with Typo Negative. I like this tour.
Yeah.
We did a tour in 2003. It was us, Madball, Hate Eternal, Terror, and Cephalic Carnage. That's another tour like this tour where you get the metal and the hardcore, so you're getting fans from both sides of the fence. Excuse me. And it's diversity in the bill. You're not seeing a copycat band. The night is boring if you're doing that. I mean, if you're into hardcore, so you want to see just a line of hardcore bands, yeah, that's cool, if that's your thing. Me personally, I like diversity. Absolutely. I think it brings more to the table in a touring package.
Yeah, definitely. I can almost see you guys. You've done so much. Like you did that tour with Dying Fetus and Code Orange, which has that hardcore and metal vibe. Yeah. But you got to like go way off the ball. Like you need to either tour with like an intense black metal band like Mayhem, or tour with like a real hard rock band like Hoobastank.
Oh my God, are they still around?
Yeah.
Wow, good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey man, I would be up for it. I mean, we've probably played with them at some festival somewhere. You know how diverse those lineups are. Those are crazy, and those are great. And they're starting to, that model is starting to pop up more and more in the U.S. now.
Yeah.
With the radio fests and like Carolina Rebellion and Aftershock and these big festivals like that, they're taking the European festival model and bringing that here. So you're seeing more bands like the Hoobastanks and the Hatebreeds and the Disturbs and the Cannibal Corpses playing together.
Yeah. I mean, look at Fit for an Autopsy when they played here last. It was them, While She Sleeps, Trivium, and Arch Enemy.
There you go.
So
see, for a fan, that you're getting a lot out of that package. You're getting a lot out of that ticket price, I feel, because it's something for everybody. Definitely. You have some shred, you have some crazy double bass, you have grind, you have like singing. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the real question I wanted to ask is because in New York City, which is debatably the hardcore capital of the world, and I'm hanging out with, Roger Merritt of Agnostic Front or Mike Scandato from Inhuman. Like, we always have the debate, actually, about you guys. Like, I've always thought that Hatebreed was a hardcore band. They say, oh, no, they're more of a metal band. And, so I love having that debate. And, I think you're a fairly credible source about your own band. So what do you think Hatebreed is? Do you consider yourselves more hardcore or more metal? I see both, but...
It's hard to be that black and white. You're going to get more of a wishy-washy answer from me, but there's elements there. We are both, I think. Me being more of a metal fan, I was into that first and foremost. Thrash, metal, speed metal. So that's where I learned to play. That's what I was a fan of first. Hardcore, punk, all that stuff came to me later. So for me, I would think like for my part, I inject that influence into the band. The other guys do too. So, I mean, there's some metal there, man. You might talk to Wayne, and he might have been into punk and hardcore before, but, his playing style will more influence that, And he's into some hip-hop and stuff too. So, I mean, there's influences coming from everywhere. But to say, if you had to put your finger on exactly what the band is, I'll take the cheesy way out and just say it's both. It's a crossover band. It blurs the lines between both genres. Yeah. I think in the later years, more recent years, the later years of the band's career, you are seeing more metal.
Yeah.
But we still play the stuff off of Under the Knife and Satisfaction, which is more straight hardcore. So yeah. I don't think there's a defined answer for that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like hardcore, like the European use of the word hardcore, it's like, when I hear hardcore, I do think of Agnostic Front or Sick of It All, but like Code Orange and Harm's Way is considered to be hardcore, and then I've heard people refer to like metalcore bands as a sub-genre of hardcore. Like, like I've asked what makes something hardcore. People sometimes say it's the subject matter that they address, it is the sound, the imagery, or also even the region.
Yeah, and that, I mean... There's so many labels now. People strive to create a new label, I think. And it's not even the bands that are playing the music. Bands are trying to do something different and stand out, and that's great. But the fans always have to come up with some new cockamamie word for a type of music, you know? And then we have all these labels. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call them emo or screamo. They're more beat down emo, metal. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
The periodic table of subgenres.
Yeah, really. We need codes for this stuff. So, I don't know. When you say the word hardcore to me, now I'm a 43-year-old guy, you know. Hardcore to me, the first thing I think of is New York City.
Yeah.
First thing I think of is AF and the cro-mags and Sick of It All, and you know, bands from that early era. You ask a kid that now, and he's gonna say Code Orange or
Vane.
Vane. Yeah, Vane is blowing up. But I mean, you ask, and the same thing goes for like if you ask somebody what's metal now, they might say Metallica, but they might say Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah.
You know, and they're played on the radio, and you know, whatever people think about them, you know, like it's all whatever. To me, everything's heavy metal, I guess, because I'm a metalhead. But all these labels that are getting thrown around, it's crazy.
Well, you ask a millennial like myself, most of us, like, our first metal bands were like Avenged Sevenfold, Bullet for My Valentine, Disturbed.
Yeah.
So.
And in the subject matter of hardcore, I should say, too, if you're talking to a Scandato, then you're going to be there for a while, and they know what they're talking about with the hardcore label. So you're going to get a lot of info, you know.
Mean, Mike is an Inhuman, and that to me is one of, like, oh my God, that band is so good to see live.
Yeah. Mark, I still keep in touch with Mark from Shutdown.
Okay.
And he comes out when we come through Florida, and the other guys now, I think, like, I used to see him a lot more back in the day, but with Facebook and everything, everyone's popping up, and you get to see how everyone's doing. But yeah, they're tried and true with their hardcore knowledge and their credibility with it.
Oh no! I when I first brought up Hatebreed to Mike when we first met, like, because I met him when his other band, The Last Stand, was playing, and like I talked about Hatebreed, I could have sworn that I talked about it at like 10, and before I knew it was like 1 a.m.
Yeah, he'll take you to school.
Yep, good. He's a great hardcore mentor to have.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I have 2 more questions for you. I know that you came into Hatebreed in 2001, right? Around that time?
Yeah, I've been in the band since 2001. I've had 2 stretches in the band. First time was in 98 into like 99. It was almost a year. Okay. And then I left for a while, and I came back in 2001, and I've been back since then.
Okay. So when you look at it, because Hatebreed originally formed in Connecticut, around that region, and now, like, I look at upstate New York, Connecticut, and even Massachusetts as kind of like it's one, like, regional scene, because during the time that Hatebreed started in like 93 or whatever, it was like 94.
Yeah.
Like Killswitch Engage just started doing stuff, and maybe All That Remains came a little bit later. Was there like a scene that Hatebreed kind of cut their teeth in, you would say? Like, was there like a hardcore scene that Hatebreed started in?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. There used to be, I mean, Connecticut, sure, where they're from, but I mean, even upstate New York and Albany, there was a great scene up there. There was clubs like the QE2 and Bogies and Valentine's, and you know, all these bands from Connecticut and Mass and New York would play there. And then down near me, there was the Chance in Poughkeepsie. Bands would come there. In Massachusetts, well, in Boston, let's see, I remember playing the Fat Cat in Springfield, but there was this, down near me too, there was the skate park in Newburgh, but there was this place in Agawam that bands would play, Massachusetts. And Westfield, there was a skate park too that we would play a lot, and I know all the bands. I mean, that's where you would play, you know, from those areas. The bands from that area would bring you in, and then you'd bring them into your area, and yeah, it was thriving, man. There was a lot of bands, death metal bands like Skinless from Albany, Hatebreed from Connecticut. You had Overcast from Massachusetts, you know, and a lot of. They were thriving then, and then a lot of the guys in these bands kind of spawned off and went into other bands that are around now and, you know, doing really well.
Yeah, I almost feel like at the time that, like, if you were in that region, if you started a band that was hardcore, you were kind of getting in there one way or another, right?
Yeah, because the shows were thriving. There was a lot of shows every weekend,
yeah,
you know, and they were packed bills. You'd see 4 to 7 bands on a bill.
Yeah.
Everyone was getting a lot of chances, and you know, a lot of this is pre-internet, so you're still tape trading or ripping CDs and stuff, and you know, there's still pictures of the band on the front of it, so you knew who the band was. You know, it wasn't just a digital file. You know,
yeah,
it was a different era. But yeah, it was thriving, man. There was a lot of clubs to play, and a lot of those places are gone now in all those areas. It was a good time.
Yeah, definitely. And the final question I'd like to ask you, and I always like asking drummers this because, the point of obviously of a drummer is to keep rhythm and keep beat. Your drummer sucks, your band sucks, more or less. So like and I always think that Hatebreed is a very rhythm driven band. So does like the band kind of like write according to your beat in a way, or as a drummer are you just kind of focused on keeping the song together, or is there like improvising involved at all too when you're playing live?
Oh, for me, the live playing is a lot of improv.
Really?
For me. Yeah, that's the type of player I am. I don't want to be the machine that's just playing what's on the record. If you want to hear the record, just go home and fucking put on the record.
Yeah.
I like to inject something into the live playing. I push the tempos a little bit. I drop the breakdowns down a little bit. I try different fills in areas where I didn't do that stuff or did something different. I like to just add that type of spur of the moment energy into the show. Nothing that's going to completely screw up anybody else what they're doing on stage, but I just like to and nothing that's going to pull away from the songs too much and totally fuck them up.
Yeah.
But I like to do my own thing up there.
Definitely.
Recording wise, it's a little different. Early on, I think every record's been recorded different. We've gone through all of us sitting in the room together and writing the songs to different songs are written. They're already written, maybe on a computer and like with a drum program or something, and then I just add my own style to it, and we clean things up. Technology, you can just write a whole song in your laptop now, and there you go, it's done. So we kind of utilize some of that just for time's sake.
Yeah.
Anymore, because you're paying for time in a studio and whatever, or a rehearsal spot. So yeah, the songs come together. Sometimes there's drum ideas already there. Sometimes there's not. I do my thing, or if there isn't a drum idea there, I just do my thing to it, whatever, change it, make it mine. I guess just making it mine, putting my stamp on it.
Yeah.
And that's what's on record. And then, like I said, the live versions are a little different.
Yeah. I was almost worried because on the boat show that you guys played, the boat was capsizing so much. I was worried that like the toms were gonna like slide over.
Oh man, we did the motorboat cruise back in 2015, I think it was, and you're out in the middle of the ocean, and we played inside the ballroom. You do one show in the ballroom or whatever, and then one show up on the pool deck. And the ballroom show, at least up on the pool deck, like you could see the clouds and you could feel when the wind's blowing, and what's coming at you. Yeah. You're stuck in the ballroom. And you're playing and you're focused, and then all of a sudden, the boat hits that wave, or the wave hits the side of the boat or whatever, and you're kind of thrown for a minute. It's really going to mess with your equilibrium. Yeah. So yeah, and there was a little of that going on the cruise too. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad for you because you had to worry about your sea legs and you had to worry about
your balance, and then something hits you, it's just constantly throwing you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time. It's going to be an awesome show tonight. Is there just anything else with Hatebreed that you would like to promote in terms of tours, or when can we be expecting some new Hatebreed?
Yeah, well, this is the 25th anniversary of the band. That's this tour. We got the first leg's almost over. We got the second one coming up in May. Okay. That'll go from May 7th, I think, to the end of May, and we're going to be hitting more of the West Coast, Midwest of the country with kind of the same lineup. It's Obituary, Madball, AF's doing half of it, Madball's doing the other half, and two other bands. Who the heck was it? Skeletal Remains and Prong.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah, so that's a great lineup. So we got that coming up. Also, tomorrow we're playing in New Haven, Connecticut, which is the last show of this leg, but it's also like a homecoming for us. And we actually have a Hatebreed beer that we've been working on.
Really?
Yeah, and we're going to debut it tomorrow. It's on tap only. It's not in cans yet. You can't buy it in the store or have it shipped to your house or anything like that. It's on tap only at the show, and we'll be promoting it and everything. It's called Rise of Brutality.
That is awesome.
And if you're an IPA fan, you'll dig it.
Awesome. That would be awesome. Just when I thought hardcore fans couldn't get more rowdy.
Hey, Metallica's got a beer. Anthrax got a beer. Now Hatebreed's got a beer.
Deftones apparently has a beer, too.
Deftones has one, too. Mastodon has a couple.
Mastodon's Hunter beer is so good. It's
good stuff.
Yeah.
If you're a beer connoisseur, like these beers have some bite to them, but they don't blow your head off.
Exactly. Well, it's a Hatebreed beer, and I kind of expected it to do that.
I should have saw that coming.
Yeah. But, Matt, so great to see you. And hopefully I'll see you on Todd's Morning Jam again.
Yeah, oh yeah, I look forward to that. Todd's a shredder. Yeah. Todd, We love you.
Definitely.
Yeah, we got some plans for that too. Some cool cover songs, instrumental covers in the works and stuff. You'll be seeing that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Matt.
Thanks.
Everybody, Matt of Hatebreed, 25th anniversary. Pick up the Concrete Confessional if you haven't already, as well as their entire catalog. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.